gearing up for Alabama's first trip to Madison since 1928. Matt, we're excited to make the trip. How's everything going in Madison, getting ready for Saturday?
No, it's going great, and yeah, in advance, we'll welcome you to Madison. So I know we were down there for a basketball game in Alabama probably 20 or so years ago. So it's going to be good to have you folks up here.
Certainly looking forward to it. Both of these teams off to a 2-0 start. What have you learned about the Badgers so far through the two games we've seen against Western Michigan and South Dakota?
Well, it's a team that, quite honestly, I think is still trying to establish an identity. There's been a philosophical shift offensively because Wisconsin, for years and years, known as kind of a ground and pound, not kind of, as a ground and pound type of operation. They have what's called the air raid now with Phil Longo. But I think that I know they still want to be physical. They've been trying to run the ball. We've seen two back sets. We've seen on occasion three in the backfield, but still they want to try to establish the passing game, and it's been up and down. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They've shown stretches of like, okay, looks like they're starting to figure things out. The next step is to sustain that over 4 quarters. So they're getting there. It's the process is never fast enough for a fan base. Defensively, they have some new faces through the transfer portal. A couple of really promising freshmen. Uh, but they're still, I mean, they're 2-0, which beats Notre Dame right now at 1-1. But they have not been overwhelming, to be perfectly honest. In these first two ball games, their run defense has been a little bit leaky. But in the fourth quarter, when they've had to make plays both sides of the ball, they've been able to do that.
A notable addition is Tyler Van Dyke coming over at quarterback after some huge numbers before in his career at Miami. How has he fit into this Wisconsin offense? What's the personality of this offense?
Well, yeah, the personality is still to be determined. I think with Tyler, he brings really good arm strength. I use the baseball comparison. He has a good fastball, and that allows him to, maybe fit the ball into some tighter windows, or just make some tougher throws, right hash to left boundary, that type of thing. He's gotten away with two or three balls that could have been picked. He has not thrown an interception through the first couple of ball games, but there's been some good fortune with that. But he's also made some plays too. And part of this offense is they do want the quarterback to be able to run it at times. Now, I wouldn't call him a great running quarterback, but I think he might be better than what the stats would show or what they were asking him to do at Miami. He's been through so much, Roger, in his career, from Big Ten Freshman of the Year to someone who they benched briefly at Miami a year ago. But those who I know in the ACC who have covered Miami games and have covered that league in general, they talk about his toughness. He's a big, strong guy. He's been through quite a bit. And I think that, too, in addition to the physical skills and the arm strength specifically, I think just the fact that he's experienced a lot as a college football quarterback, that was attractive to Luke Fickell and the offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, as well. So still a work in progress. You would hope that the best football is still ahead of this team, but that remains to be seen. Obviously, the ultimate test coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely. And part of one of the groups that'll be tested the most will be the Wisconsin offensive line. What have you seen from that group through two games?
They feel really good about the starting five. There's a fair amount of experience there. The one exception would be the left guard, Joe Brunner, who is a starter for the first time, but he's just, it looks like that classic Wisconsin offensive lineman. He is from the state of Wisconsin, a really tough kid. That left side of the line is a Wisconsin-based line. The left tackle, Jack Nelson, who, by the way, is playing for his fourth position coach in 4 years. So, that's been a tough time for a program that has prided itself on stability. There hasn't been a lot of that, obviously, in the last couple 3 years. Behind that first five, though, there is very little experience. Matter of fact, they got a freshman in there for his first snaps last week, Kevin Haywood. There's a couple of other freshmen who would be in line to play if needed. As much as the world of college football is changing, I don't know how many true freshmen are asked to step in a lot on the offensive line. But so that'll be something worth watching. And again, you look at this game, that defensive front for Alabama is somewhere between really good and ridiculously good. And I would lean more toward ridiculously good with the depth of the defensive line and a linebacking core that may be as good as any group in the country.
Then you mentioned on the defense for Wisconsin, some new faces there with the transfer portal. Who are the stars that our fans need to keep an eye out for on Saturday?
Well, Ricardo Hallman, a cornerback from the state of Florida, he had 7 interceptions last season. Nobody had more in college football. He hasn't been tested a ton through these first couple of ball games. They're going to be without one of their mainstays in the linebacking core for the first half. Jake Chaney, he had a targeting penalty in the second half, so he, like Justin Jefferson, will have to sit the first half of this game. But a safety by the name of Hunter Wohler, that's a name you'll probably hear called quite a bit. He's really one of the anchors and certainly one of the team leaders on the defensive side of the ball. Those are guys that like Wohler is a veteran in this program. He's been through a lot. He's persevered. On the defensive line, a transfer from Albany, a really good FCS program a year ago, Elijah Hills has had. He's off to a nice start. He's had a couple of sacks, had one in a big moment last week. So they're still trying to get some more pressure on the quarterback, though, and they haven't had a ton of it. But the Hills sack last week was a very, very timely one for this defense.
Luke Fickell is the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Like you, got his start at Ohio State and now moves over to Madison, Wisconsin. How have you seen him really take ownership of this program and make it kind of in the image that he wants? So, what's his vision for this program?
Yeah, his and I'm always careful when I go down this path because the previous coaches were really good here and very very successful. The messaging though can be different. I think in year two, if nothing else, Luke Fickell has doubled down on his philosophy of just demanding intensity in everything that these guys do, from the weight room meetings, the practices, obviously everything on and off the field. He wants to be surrounded by guys who love the game beyond description, and they're getting there. And I think as they recruit either through the high schools or through the transfer portal, they're trying to get one of the areas they wanted to address, for example, in the linebacking core, was to get a little bit more length back there, maybe a little bit more overall athleticism, and they believe that they have been able to do that. So it's still, they may be a year or two away from really being the kind of team that they want to be. But who knows, in college football, the minute you think you have things figured out, stuff changes. But he definitely is someone who was I think in year two, he's got a better lay of the land here of how things operate at Wisconsin. And yet there are things that he is in the process of changing. And one other thing, too, real quick, is that Wisconsin has done a great job for the most part. There are always exceptions, but for the most part, they've recruited within a certain radius of the state of Wisconsin. And as Fickell has said, that Motion W carries a little bit more clout than he thought. So they have really, they've reached out a little bit more across the country to get players either through the portal or through high school recruiting. So we'll see. It's been attempted here before with very mixed results, but I think in today's world of college football, you have to try to get the talent here wherever that player is from, and they're in the process of doing that now.
Alabama fans for years have been excited for this weekend and for this game in Madison, Wisconsin. For those fans that are making the trip, maybe on Thursday or Friday and then leaving Sunday, what are some must visit places kind of around Camp Randall Stadium and the city they should check out?
I always tell people when they come to town, go down State Street, one of the main drags in the campus area. Particularly on a night before a game, it's a lot of fun, and people are for the most part here very jovial and very friendly to you're not Minnesota, so they'll like you. You're not Ohio State, so they'll like you. So, those kind of programs. I tell people you better be nice because we're going down to Tuscaloosa next year. But there's a lot of fun. A lot of fun spots, restaurants, bars, that type of thing. The Union Terrace, it overlooks one of the lakes here, Lake Mendota. It's just a great, and the weather's supposed to be pretty good here this weekend. It's just a really nice setting here, and Madison's a clean city, with the exception of the 8 million construction barrels that are on the streets here. It's like every road is under construction, so be advised of that. But the Capitol Square, again, really nice restaurants there, and just nice places to go. So it's a friendly, it's a clean town, and fans at the game is a massive social gathering. They love their team, they love football here, but it's also a big social event where the fans will sing their songs and they'll jump around at the end of the third quarter. And from time to time, they'll watch the game too, but they will have a really, really good time. It's called a party with 75,000 people all in one building.
Yeah, for our fans who have maybe seen Jump Around on TV, can you tell us how that tradition started and then how you feel watching that each and every Saturday the Badgers are at home?
Yeah, it started in 1998. There was a player by the name of Ryan Sundrup who was tight end, and he started talking with the marketing folks because he had an interest in that at the time, and a guy by the name of Kevin Klunder who used to work in athletics marketing. They're trying to come up with just something to get a little bit more juice in the crowd, and they came up with the House of Pain song "Jump Around." And the first time they played it was in a night game against Purdue, and Drew Brees was the quarterback, and they were throwing the ball 80 plus times a game. And it was one of those, like, I think near Halloween weekend, which that's a big party in and of itself around here. But it took hold. The place went crazy, and I always tell Chris and yourself as well. You should know that you guys will be right next to us, and when it's played, the booth will sway a little bit, and any water or soda you have in your cup, it'll look like you wonder if we're having a tremor out there. But that's a big part of it. People love to hang around for that. If they don't stay for the fourth quarter, they stay for Jump Around, and then maybe they leave for the various watering holes around Madison. So much like Alabama, you guys have your thing at the end of the third quarter. It's a big tradition here. Although I will say at Wisconsin, there's a little risk reward to that, because when things are going well and a visiting team, favored or not, is winning or in a close game, players on the visiting team get into the jump around thing every bit as much, if not more so, than the home team. So there is some risk with this jump around, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon. It's a big part of the tradition here at Camp Randall.
Can't wait to see it coming up on Saturday. Matt, just thank you for your time here with us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Can't wait to see you and the entire crew for what should be a fun ball game coming up on Saturday. But thank you again.
All right, Roger. Good to be with you. Take care. We'll see you Saturday.